The election of 1896, this should work now. Cody, get in front of class. Take over. Coup. You are being broadcast nationwide. All right, good. Thank you, my good man. You've been fired.
Wasn't my short job.
Some people never even get that. All right, so the election of 1896. Did we get to who the Republicans nominated?
No.
Oh, gold versus silver, and that's the thing. Gold came more and more to mean conservative. Laissez-faire economics. If you're poor, it's your own fault. If you make it, it's your own responsibility. By the way, have you ever heard the term, is it coming on? Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps? You ever heard that? That's actually meant to mock social Darwinism. This idea that you can do it all on your own. Because if you don't believe me, try it sometimes. You can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Gravity doesn't work that way. Unless you're Chuck Norris. Yeah, but Chuck Norris wouldn't understand the words. I can say that now because he's old. When he was young, he couldn't understand it either. What?
Words wouldn't understand Chuck Norris.
No, words can't define Chuck Norris. All right. So,
I'm sending a side with Chuck Norris.
Well, they're both
food.
they're both old and crazy, but Putin's the real deal. All right. So, gold bugs versus silver bugs. Silver came to represent that populist idea. More liberal idea, a little bit populism. They were not socialist, but a little bit of some of the socialist prescriptions. This is the definition of liberal. They like capitalism, but they want to, the way to be would be to smooth the hard edges of capitalism. Some actually were socialists. That's a gold bug pin or silver bug pin, gold bug. People would wear these. It would represent who you are. What you stand for. Bugs? Bugs was a very popular name for, if you were a something bug, it means you liked it. You were interested in it. So, why are we going backwards? Why isn't McKinley written down? McKinley was supposed to be written down right there. The Republicans would nominate William McKinley. And they picked McKinley. Let me write this in because I thought it was in. There we go. McKinley of Ohio. And McKinley was then governor. He's got the tariff, but he was a solely owned entity of the Republican machine in Ohio. That's how come he was picked. On his own merit, McKinley never would have been picked. The Republican machine was ran by Marcus Hanna. And that's Hanna right there. And Henry Clay was kind of a hero of many politicians. He was Abraham Lincoln's hero. So this is supposed to be Henry Clay, and he's supposed to represent kind of honesty and dignity in government. He was supposedly incorruptible. Okay, that wasn't quite true, but that was his myth. But this is McKinley. And you notice he's got the big hat that barely fits on him. What does McKinley look like in this cartoon? Would you say that's a smart man? He's supposed to look dim-witted. Because he kind of was. That's Hanna. And so that Clay was an ass. It's better to be president than be right. And notice the dollar sign on the thumb. Hanna, huh? Oh yeah, gosh, I didn't, I forgot. Why is his ears low? I want to get that checked. Why wouldn't it? That's a serious problem. Yeah, I think you should. You get older, your ear gets bigger. Actually, that's something. Your ears get bigger, your nose gets bigger. Look at LBJ behind you. Those just kept growing and growing and growing. Lyndon Johnson. All right, so back to this. Hanna controlled McKinley. Now, this was not yet a modern campaign, but it's almost a modern campaign. McKinley would allow to give, barely gave speeches. This is him giving a couple talks, and this is actually 1901, but that's in 1896. And McKinley was not a dynamic speaker. He kind of blah, blah, blah. He really didn't have that charisma. It would have been hard for him to run for president today because of TV, but then he looked presidential. That's what people want their president to look like. Tall, upstanding, mature, serious, and he was 100% pro-business. He was in the pocket of Hanna and business interests. The Democrats were in disarray then. Oh, almost forgot. That's McKinley's, that's the governor's mansion in Ohio. McKinley was never allowed to leave that. Hanna made sure that anytime he would leave those doors, he'd be under control so he would not say anything. Because if you let the man talk, he might speak. Words will come out. And no one has any idea what he might say, including Hanna, including McKinley. The Democratic Convention was in disarray. Garfield was president. There's maybe Ruth. He got bigger in the White House. Garfield, am I calling him Garfield again?
Yeah.
Jeez, why am I doing that? Because I did it yesterday too. Cleveland. Cleveland was president. That's baby Ruth. Did you know what I meant? You're already looking. Did I miss something? I thought you'd be shocked. Cleveland was president. Cleveland, the assumption was the sitting president would be renominated, but he made it clear, I will only run if the convention nominates me. But he thought they would. And it was a very divisive convention because Cleveland came out for the gold standard. And when he came out for the gold standard, what that meant is not a heck of a lot different than what McKinley was for. And more Democrats, maybe they weren't full-fledged populists, but they wanted many of the populist ideas. And there was a real worry that this might divide the conference or divide the convention. In fact, there already was a divide. But then, just one sec. And I like this cartoon showing what many people thought was going to hijack the convention. Hijacked by the concept of free silver. And who would do the hijacking? A young man, 36 years old, young congressman from Nebraska. He actually came from Chicago, moved to Nebraska. He was an impressive orator, an impressive speaker. He was technically not running for president, but he got up and gave a speech. By the way, 36, that's only 1 year older than the constitutional requirement for president. It's 25 for the House, 30 for the Senate, 35 for the presidency. And you have to be a citizen. You can't be you have to be born a citizen. You can't be just naturalized to be president. You can be a senator, but not president. President, you have to be born a citizen.
At this time, presidents can still have more than 2 terms.
Yeah, that would not change till 1947. And so, this one man got up and gave a speech. What was his name? Write down William Jennings Bryan. And that is a picture of Bryan right here, representing his speech. William Jennings Bryan. And Bryan would give arguably one of the best, if not the best, political speech in American history. He went from being relatively unknown, except around a small circle, Nebraska and a few other areas, to being nationally, and some would argue internationally known. Now, I'm going to read to you the end of the speech. It was a long speech. There were thousands of people in the convention hall. There were Democratic conventions. We picked or Democratic delegates. We picked the nominee and then an audience. And he had he had the manners of like a Protestant evangelical minister. He spoke, he would talk, he would bring them up, bring them back down. He just rode their emotions. He was a great speaker. And so by the end, they were literally on the edge of their seats. So let me read you the end of the speech. Now remember, gold standard, silver, free silver meant inflation. Silver kind of meant more of those populist ideas. If they dare come out into the open field and defend the gold standard as a good thing, we will fight them to the uttermost. Having behind us the producing masses of this nation and the world, supported by the commercial interests, the laboring interests, and the toilers everywhere. We will answer their demand for a gold standard by saying to them, now we pause, and everyone's just like, that's my acting, right? You shall not press down upon the brow of labor this crown of thorns. You shall not crucify mankind upon a cross of gold. And there was silence. And it was like, that was great. We're not sure what he meant, but that was great. And after 10 seconds, the place erupted, cheering and shouting. They stormed the stage. They picked up Brian and were carrying him around on their shoulders. And by acclamation, they nominated him president, or nominated him as the Democratic nominee for president. Right there. William Jennings Bryan. The speech, I'll get back to the populace in a sec, it's going to be called the Cross of Gold speech. You shall not crucify mankind upon a cross of gold. By the way, what's he referring to?
Jesus.
Yeah, he's referring to this is the resurrection. It's like I said, it's very Protestant, kind of Protestant Christian feel. He was a very religious man, hated social Darwinism. And no, he was only concerned about Darwin because that gave fuel to social Darwinists. So he had a very complex attitude towards it. But it worked. This cross of gold made him the nominee. And he was swept in. But what of the populists? The populists were meeting in their own convention a week later. The Democrats were in Chicago. The populists are back in, where else would they be? Omaha, yeah. Well, this cartoon kind of shows, it's a clever cartoon. I really like this one. So this is labor. Now it's using, it came after Brian's speech. And you can see all the imagery here. Well, this one's pretty obvious. That's Brian with the cross of gold. But here's labor. The cross of gold is the Republican Party because they're the party of laissez-faire capitalism, like corporation holding them down. Hannah is putting the thorns. That's McKinley in his pocket, like a little emperor. And then the banks. And the banks took a very racist tone because there was a British bank called the Rothschild. They were Jew. The Rothschild family was Jewish. And so this Jewish banker anti-Semitism. What are the populists going to do? Brian stole their thunder. Brian's not a full-fledged populist, but he took their biggest issue. The populists rolled the die. And by acclamation, they nominated Brian too. That's what you have to get down. The populists nominated Brian also. What that meant is the populists are essentially joining the Democratic Party. This was an all or nothing. The populists did have a legitimate chance to replace one of the two parties. But by nominating Brian, the populists are going to be rolled into the Democratic Party. Now, some will become Republicans later on down the road, but for the most part, it will change the Democratic Party somewhat, but not for years. And this is a big deal then. And it really was a David versus Goliath campaign. No doubt about it. I like this cartoon. Yeah. It's actually, it's supposed to be Brian as the populist snake eating the Democratic Party. Is that pretty cool? But in reality, it's the other way around. Since the Democrats are much bigger, the populists their ideas would be diluted within the Democratic Party. But it's still a good cartoon. Well, so we have the candidates, Bryan versus McKinley. And so that's where we get the silver rights would have Bryan, the gold bugs would be McKinley. This is a pro-McKinley cartoon. Bryan was a very young man. McKinley served in the Civil War. Okay, he was just on a staff. He was on General Burnside's staff in Antietam. He served General Burnside coffee during the battle, but they made him out like a war hero. When McKinley died in 1901, they would put this huge statue at Antietam for him. And I'm not kidding, he served coffee to Burnside. But he was a military hero. And so in 1861, William McKinley was upholding his country's honor, and he's still doing it because he's in the Civil War. Bryan wasn't old enough, but still, in 1861, this is what William Jennings Bryan was doing, crying like a baby, and he's still doing it. It's pretty clever. Pretty clever. Stupid. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Fight? 1 year old, put him in uniform? Yes. This is Bryan. He did an incredible whistle-stop tour of the United States. And every place, whistle-stop means every time the train would stop, they'd blow the whistle, he'd step off to the back on the caboose, back when they used to have cabooses, and he would give a speech. People would come out. Now you notice it says 16-1. That was the free silver idea he had. 16 ounces of silver would equal 1 ounce of gold. Has everyone caught that? That's all that means is free silver, 16-1. That would be the measurement, and that would cause inflation. And these speeches were amazing. People would come out and cheer. I mean, this cartoon implies that the newspapers were all behind him. What it implies is this feeling was with Bryan, wow, they're going to win. No, reality is significantly different. These tours were amazing, these speeches. But I do have the map of one. He went all over the most contested states. There's Bryan giving his speech. This is a few years later, but I just love this one because it shows Bryan talking and speaking. People would be on their feet cheering. And I like this though. Bryan went bald really young. But in the paintings, they just had to draw some hair in. Didn't want to, since he was young, they wanted to make it seem younger. And I like this one. He would get the audience here, and they're all laughing behind. And I like here, ranting and raving. And he's like, whatever, I've seen this before. I've seen this act. But it was David versus Goliath. David versus Goliath. William Jennings Bryan would raise some $300,000 for his campaign. Has everyone got that? Bryan would raise $300,000. That actually was a lot. Campaigns didn't raise all that much money. John D. Rockefeller, what was Rockefeller's company again? Standard Oil. Rockefeller himself gave McKinley $300,000. Himself. McKinley raised $7 million. Unheard of amount. So while Bryan can talk and people can be cheering and they might feel like they're going to win, the money makes a difference. They put out ads, pamphlets, newspaper articles. Hannah had speakers go out and they could pay for them to go tell workers, if you vote for Bryan, you're going to lose your job. You're going to be fired. Your business will close down. Silver will destroy the country. The only thing that can bring us back to prosperity is gold. And this is pre-open, this is secret ballot. And so you voted right in front of your boss. And the bosses were all for McKinley. When the election came, it actually was quite a shock for the populace because they really thought they were going to win. They did well. You think about it. This is mostly populist ideas, but areas where there was industry. Urban, where the populace and the democratic ideal didn't work. That's what McKinley won. Bryan swept the South. He got almost every vote in Montana. But McKinley won. McKinley was elected. The populists rolled the die and they failed. A big election. Huge. Oh, if you look at this map, not every state, but the basic trend. Don't worry about the colors. If you heard the stuff about red state and blue state today, red state means more Republican, blue state means more Democratic. The colors are meaningless. They were just the colors that all the networks used when they talked about the presidential race in 200. Or 200, which was weird. The Roman Empire was shocked. No, in 2000. The colors meant nothing to them, and to be honest with you, they're kind of silly now. But, so don't worry about the colors on this map. This is the Democrats, that's the Republicans. But today, these states mostly vote away. How? Yeah, they're almost all Democrat. And these states, it's all Republican. So there's been a real shift. Urban areas were fearful of this kind of rural populism, but then urban areas, they're more democratic. All right, why was this election important? Let me give you the reasons why 1896 was so important. And good one, good one. Gold conquered silver. Sound money. These are the reasons it's important. Number one, the number one reason this is important. This is the first modern campaign. This is the first campaign where politicians went out directly and spoke to the people. Bryan did it first. Now McKinley, of course, was not allowed to speak, but Hannah realized McKinley would have to go out a little bit to match Bryan. Now all candidates go out in politics. Before, others would do it for him. After this, more active. Now, all of you will grow to hate this trend. You are, my guess is you hate it in 2012. Because they're already campaigning for president in 2016. They're already talking about it. It is awful. That's what's great about parliamentary systems like Britain. They have like 1 month. They call it election, they got a month, and they have the election. That'd be so much better.
Instead of needing like a year worth of like extra commercials and ads.
The problem is because the United States established a different system, we have the elections are set in stone, aren't they? Every 2 years we have an election, right? So everyone knows when the election's coming, so you can start campaigning now. Heck, there are already people talking about, well, they're thinking about running now, but 2020 is when they're going to run. Ah, no! That's panic. Was that good? Okay, but number two, if it is a modern campaign, this is the first campaign where the realization hit. You got that modern campaign, money means everything. Who has the money wins? Or not wins, but has a great competitive advantage. They can get their message to people much easier, especially people who are not informed. That's what you have to get down. Money is not only important, but money influences people who don't know what's going on. Elections are decided by people who don't know what's going on. That should disturb all of you. Right or wrong, I know who I'm going to vote for immediately. I know what I'm going to do. Commercials will not sway me. And so they're swaying people who don't follow. I follow. You know, I just always have. Now, I got to be clear. I might not be right in who I pick. You might not agree with me. I know. They try to influence people who don't follow it and who like to decide in the last week. Money works because it gets the name out there. Oh, one thing I should add. It really matters for president, but then for every house lower than president, money matters even more. Because people don't follow it even less. Yes.
This is personal question. Do you usually tend to stay with one party, or will you go back and forth depending on what you hear in the campaigns?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm one party. Oh yeah. Yeah, because I understand the way that the House and the Senate work. And so if you believe you agree with one party, you better vote for people in that party so that your party will control the House and the Senate. If you switch back and forth, you are basically saying, I want nothing to be done. even though I can understand, there could be someone from the party, you know, that you don't like, because that guy's a jerk or that woman is an idiot, you know, whatever it might be. And, you know, but Congress it's complex. It's a big picture. It's not just one person. One person has very little power. That's actually a pretty good question, because Montanans infamous for splitting tickets, and they're kind of cutting their own throats. It's just because we're independent or something. No, they're not independent. They're part of the party. Yeah, what party? What party am I? I'm actually part of the Druid party. You know, we burn trees and we sacrifice people. I'm looking at volunteers. Mike, okay.
So like,
You can probably guess.
California, they have like 55
Say it again. What's that?
California has like 55 representatives or something.
California is 53. Yeah.
53. How do they vote? Like, it's like, because it seems like it's way like harder to vote when there's so much 50 here.
Well, don't think about it. Everybody votes. Whatever district you're in, you only vote for that one seat. And so it's just like Montana is just one big district, so we vote for one. We have one House race. Every district has one House race.
Okay.
So it's a little bit easier. But then again, your part should be right. You said you don't know who to vote for. The lower down the ticket, people don't follow as much. That's where money makes a big difference, because that could get the name out there. That's why money really affects like House or State House or so on. And yeah, I don't want to talk about that, because I don't want to influence you either to say, I know how to butter Mr. Partridge up, I'll agree. Or that dirty rotten rat, I'll oppose him just because he's for it. There we go. I can't hide, you know, but well, I can't hide it in front of you. You're like, please hide. No. Okay, so money became more important. Actually, money would become more important than party. Oh, I should add one thing, because you brought up a really good question, and it's a good time to bring it up. A lot of countries, yeah, everyone look at mine. Yeah. Not glare. That is a rat. I know. Humor. Countries like Germany do it proportionally. And so in Germany, they don't pick, or when they have an era where they pick their representatives in their parliament, their Bundesrat, when they pick members of that, they vote for a party. And so instead of picking like 10 members, they just vote for the party. So they'll vote for Social Democrats or Christian Democrats. And then if the Social Democrats get, let's say, 40% of the vote, they get 40% of the seats. It's just the party then picks them. So if you're a member of the party, you can pick the people. So that's how they do it. So they don't have to know all these names. They just vote for the party.
That's right.
It's proportional. Okay, so number three. Money became key. Oh, one thing we should add, and I almost forgot that expedition number 2. If money's key, who runs politics then? The people with money. The people with money are becoming more and more important every single year. And the way that our Supreme Court has ruled, money now runs politics. They allow for unlimited contributions. All right. Or corporations too. And so 2 brothers by the name, they're oil men from Kansas, they're called the Koch brothers. They're gonna put in $900 billion into this next campaign. Now that's more than what most of us will make this week. Yes. They are very, very conservative Republicans.
Yes.
You know, this $900 billion will be for all kinds of races, so not just presidential. But they really like the governor of Wisconsin. They really like him.
Is that just that company that's worth that much?
No, they're, because of the low tax laws, they pay themselves. And so they're worth as a group, I mean, they got it tough. Did I say 900 billion?
Yeah.
I meant 900 million. Is that amazing though, when 900 million, like, oh, that's not very much. But still, they're worth about 100 billion. Yeah, no. They're worth 100 billion.
They're worth more than.
So if they give 900 billion, that would be like us giving them a penny. Seriously, they wouldn't even notice. It's not even it means nothing to them. I am honest with you. I could live quite well on $1 billion.
I know. I know, it'd be pretty fun to have money like.
In fact, if someone gave me $1 billion, I would give all of you $1 billion. No, probably not. But I might, because you know what? I'm not no one's gonna give me $1 billion. So, and if they did, and even if I did that, I wouldn't notice. All right, so back to this. Number three. It also said this: urban interest and financial interest are going to dominate politics. That became very, very clear. Urban and financial. Everyone got that? So the banking industry, more and more, are going to come to dominate politics. Urban and banking. Even today, the banking interests are mostly Republican, and they're the ones who give the money. It's ironic that most Republican voters are rural, but the interests that run them are urban banking interests, are the dominant. Democrats are always much more complex. And lastly, number 4. Yes, the Populist Party lost, but the populists are going to have great influence, their goals, on politics for the next 40 years. The real need for reform, virtually, I'll ask you a question in a second, virtually all the populist reforms would come about by the end of the New Deal. Franklin Roosevelt. What's your question, Cody?
Did Brian run the next election?
Brian is going to run 3 more times. Or 2 more times, sorry, 2 more times. No. He would try to run again in 1912, but not get the nomination. He would become President Wilson's Secretary of State, but he was adamantly opposed to World War I, so he resigned. Okay, so that is the election of 1896. And big election. This created many of the good and bad things. And we already have from 1840 that image is important. Now money can create an image. Wait till we get to 1960. Okay, new heading. Put a big star on it. We're just going to start it right now. Imperialism. Imperialism. But this is American imperialism now. Imperialism. That's the Spanish-American War behind him. What is imperialism?
Like trying to conquer other countries.
Empire? Why doesn't it work? Mouse. Empire! Try it at home.
That's the name.
Empire!
And it's like got a bunch of like stars.
If you get in an argument with somebody and you're losing, what do? Empire! Empire! And now you got the upper hand. Okay. Imperialism is empire. For profit. It's for profit. Imperialism is empire for profit. Empire for profit. That's why the British made colonies, the 13 colonies, because they wanted profit. And what is that term? Where countries want to accumulate as much gold as possible, they get colonies for raw materials and provide them manufactured goods. This is mercantilistic. Colonies, by definition, are mercantilistic. You want to get colonies to gouge out all the raw materials and then sell it back to them in raw materials and make money, or manufacture goods. And then when you're done colonizing them, what do? Leave them ruined. Now, what is the best example that we can see of imperialism? Butte. They came, gouged all the wealth out, and then left Butte. Haiti's actually a really good example of that. But the U.S. is already an empire. Let me just, the last thing. Oh, Seward's falling. Tomorrow then is Saturday. I'm not going to be here. Don't even ask me to come. All right, please finish reading chapter 22. Please finish reading chapter 22. And I got homework for you.
What?
This homework is so valuable that I hid it. Please do these on your own. These are practice questions. I've given you these before. Practice multiple choice. The key's on the bottom. Spend 5 minutes reading them and answering and check how you did. Everyone grab one on the way out. Have a great day. Right when you find work. And hang by your thumbs. Alec. Who?
Alex.
These are just practice type questions. They're pretty good ones. Now my throat hurts from yelling impact.
Oh, I'm sorry, what are you talking?
Yeah.
So she's in the American section of the grocery store. That's why I call it. Which is already pretty funny to hear about because all it is like candy. And she was talking about how a lot of British people are very like racist in a way, but it's more like she was talking about like the Irish and kind of the American section of the grocery store.
Yeah.
So, like they're all like things that are really stereotypical, but they're not actually employees.
Yeah.
But she found different flavors of Kit Kats.
Oh, and they got good Kit Kats there. That's where Kit Kats are from. It's a British candy.
So I was just admire them.
They have like orange and all kinds of flavors, and they're awesome. No, it's like orange, just chocolate with a little bit of orange flavor in it.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It's really good. Oh my God, are they good? Yeah, well, you know, Americans do the same kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I've never seen like a British section of a grocery store.
Yeah.
So, with that, I'm like, that's weird. And then I guess I was talking to people, and she was talking about, I don't remember what it was. I don't know. They were talking about something.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they mentioned like pop music or whatever. And one of the girls was like, oh, I only listen to British music. And also there's like, oh, she said they were very imperialistic, is what she said, speaking of that. Like a lot of people that she talked to were like, really like, I guess more nationalist.
Yeah, the national.
And so like they would mention other countries or whatever, and it would definitely.
I can see that. Britain, especially after they lost their empire, they got kind of an inferiority complex.
Yeah.
If you were so great and you weren't.
Yeah.
I can see that's gotta be a good experience for them. And then she'd make it very clear, no, I'm an American. So we saved your, tell her to say we saved your thought in World War II. They love hearing that. Sure, no.
Yeah, it's cold in here. I was actually really cold during.
Alright, what was your name about?
That was so sweet.
You know what this metal cord?
Sorry, I was gonna look at this, but. No, this is that thing where they're the fastest. I never looked at these. Probably should.
What are those?
Everybody grab one of those. That's not your quiz. I didn't eat lunch. It's because I care about you so much. I work and I work for you. I didn't have time to eat. I never have time to eat. You get one of those.
Yeah.
Grab one of those. Grab one of those.
Hey!
22.
Mary!
It's sort of like Manhattan versus
I was going to
right there. You don't have to-
You guys are, I'm going with you guys for tacos.
And then we're driving to Vegas. Let's go!
That's what I was told we were tacos.
We're supposed to agree something.
Well, I brought.
I'm ready to order chicken, so.
Yeah.
Sounds
Mexican
good.
mixed with.
I like that. I just got chips and salsa. It's probably like frozen steak. Oh, wow. I like that idea a lot. What is this? I didn't either. Like Brandon just told me, and like, so what do you want me to bring? Like, what should I bring? He's like, oh, bring chips and salsa. I'm like, okay, I can handle that. And then I find out that we are having tacos. I know. We need a little wrap. Salsa goes with like Mexican. Or chicken goes. We need a little variety.
Diversity and we put some fruit.
Everybody grab one of these. They got a half sheet of paper, number 1 to 10. This is just a practice thing. But this is just something, don't worry about this. Put this away. Take out. No, you do not.
Not question.
Not complete sentence. No. Nobody. So, let's go. We're burning daylight. Look at the daylight. It's burning. Huh? You don't know where daylight is? Okay. The sun revolves around the earth. And if you swim in the water, there are giant manganese.
That's true.
This is science.
No, this is history.
Wait. What? Number one, why is this science? Number two,
This chapter 22.
no bookmarks. Everything off your desk except for a half sheet of paper. Yes, it is 22.
We don't.
No bookmarks. Question number one. Why is question number one better than question number three? One word.
First the word.
Seven. Obviously. All right, so there are 7 matching and 3 fill in the blank. There we go. 3 fill in the blank.
Speak American.
Vague petroleum-based cookies.
Taste the carrot seed. That would not be pleasant.
We take a bonus question. What country did the Dole plantation lead a rebellion in? Dole. What country lead a rebellion? Dole. Sanford Dole. Does that help?